Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Cheap Seats. This is your football podcast. We talk about all things in the Premier League. We're all going to talk about a certain league that a team in Manchester won. It's only worth £100,000, but somehow I'm getting stories of a young treble, EFL Cup, a Europa League, and an FA Cup as the young treble. So
isn't that what Liverpool won in 2000? And they called it a treble, or 2001 or something like that. They called it a mini treble. Yeah.
Well, you guys won a treble, so if you guys want to call the other one a young treble, but yeah, I don't think you're gonna get away with a lot of that. But anyway, we're back. Manchester United have won the trophy after 6 years. Newcastle reached a final for the first time in God knows when, and they're hoping to win it.
The last time they played in a final was against Man United in the year United won a treble.
Yes, United Encyclopedia were there at the top.
Any more stats you want to throw out? Random
the scorers were Sheringham goals. What more do you want to
know?
Okay, but yeah, so we're Cheap Seats. We talk all things Premier League, and we're going to talk about a whole host of things. Chelsea losing again, Spurs seemingly on a new manager bounce with somebody in Italy. Erling Haaland finally getting touches in the box after a month without touches in the box. We're going to be covering all of those topics as we go along. But remember, we are sponsored by Classic Shirts ZA. So please go to their website and check them out. ClassicShirts.co.za or Classic Shirts ZA on Instagram. They also have a Twitter page, same thing, or same at. And then obviously they've got the logo in the corner there. So for those Chelsea fans who are considering moving to a new team, a new super team that's coming in the league, we thought we'd do this so you can have some credibility. You know what Heath said, obviously Newcastle was in the EFL Cup in a cup final in 1999, 24 years ago. You can get a Newcastle shirt on Classic Shirts and then say you were supporting them 24 years ago. It's been 24 years of heartbreak and continued until when obviously Eddie Howe wins another shirt. But I like this shirt, gents. I think the shirt is like really, really good. And I think the back of the shirt has a crest, a black crest, and then they put all the numbers inside there. And I thought it was pretty awesome. But Newcastle are on the up. So for those fans who used to support Arsenal and now support Chelsea, those who moved from Liverpool and supported Manchester City, those Spurs fans are looking to jump on a new bandwagon, Newcastle is the team for you. Dean, what do you make of this kit? And
I really like this kit because for the longest time, I know it's a bit of ignorance, I thought it was actually the Converse logo in the middle of the shirt for the longest time. I didn't realize what it actually was. So I was like, damn, these are so cool. They're sponsored by Converse. But no, I think it's an iconic kit. Obviously, Kane's going to break the Shearer record, so he's going to become irrelevant soon. So yeah.
Well, he's going to break it in a Newcastle shirt next year. So you can just buy it now and be like, I was there from the beginning.
The difference, though, is that Alan Shearer won a league, and what does Harry Kane have to show for all those goals?
Audi Cup.
He's going to win a league in Newcastle.
Let's leave the Spurs chat for later.
Kent, what do you make of this kit?
I think it's iconic too. I think in 97, 99, Newcastle were consistently finishing top 4. So I think there's really good memories with the shirt. I know a lot of Newcastle fans have this brown ale shirt because that's the last time they were really relevant. But until now, I think things are starting to turn. I'm glad they've been. I guess they have been humbled already. I think a lot of fans made it out to Wembley, but I think it's not the first time, or it's not the last time we're going to see them in a final or just competing, I think, in the next few years.
Wahid, you gave us the stats of the last time Newcastle won the final. Any famous players outside of Shearer?
Asprilla, Norberto Solano.
Ooh, I remember.
Davizas actually won the Euros in 2004 with Greece. It was a team of like cult legends. They're like, if you could put a team of cult legends together, you'd probably get that Newcastle '99 team.
So remember, you can go get that shirt at Classic Shirts ZA. While you're doing that, please go to our YouTube, and you're watching this on YouTube, just click that subscribe button, and you'll get more out of our One World Sports Radio stable. Okay, Wahid, this is your moment. I don't even know what to say, apart from, as a question, someone asked the question in our group, how's the £100,000?
If you don't know what to say, just say congratulations, and we can move on to the next thing. Just say well done. Just come on, go say it, and then we can all move on.
I can say what you say all the time.
I can try and explain to Dean what it is like, what like the feeling of winning a trophy is like, but I'm not going to try because he won't understand.
Okay, look, here's my question to you: are you guys truly back? You are 6 points away from top in the Premier League. Can you see yourself? Because you've been playing the whole coy mistress the entire season when you guys have been on the up and up. Now, with Casemiro, with McFred still running around there somehow in whatever version of McFred is there. And obviously you've got Anthony, you've got Sancho in the revival. Sir Marcus Feed a lot, Rashford, is doing his thing, being a very good striker. He'd be Golden Boot winner if there wasn't an Erling Haaland. Can you see a situation in May where you're holding that Premier League trophy?
I'd like to believe yes, but I think the answer is no. I don't think we're gonna. So there's two questions. Are United back? Yes, I think so. I think this is the best I've felt since Alex left, and I think that at times United have done well, but maybe like haven't. I think that United fans might have like just gotten ahead of themselves and thinking that we're back. Maybe under Mourinho in particular, maybe under Ole in his season where he came second. But I think that in those seasons there were probably still red flags around Man United and things that other fans of other clubs could probably still point at and say, like, we're not sure if you're truly back. But I think the hallmark of seeing if United are back on the up and back worrying other clubs is in the reaction of other fans to the way we play. And I think other fans are now looking at us and thinking, oh, ooh, they're doing something there. They're rebuilding well, and they've got the right players in the right position, and the manager who's connecting the players to his own ideologies, and the fans have a buy-in. And I think there is a missing leg of this insofar as like owners who really buy into the project. But that will come, and I think yes, United do seem to be back, and United do seem to be building something special. But how long will that last is a difficult question to ask with football these days. Football changes in weeks, and but right now it does feel good to be a United fan, and it does feel like we're building something special. So yes, it feels like we're on the right path. I don't think we've got it in us to win the league, but I do want us to be challenging by the end of the season, and I do want us to be putting pressure on whoever does go and win the league, who I still think will be Arsenal. But next season, I would be very unhappy if we weren't like properly challenging from day one.
One last question before I go to Kent and Dean. Do the Glazers sell now after this seemingly? It looks like it could be a successful period.
It's a hard one because there's whispers that they might not sell now. There's whispers that Joel and Abraham are the ones who are now putting a spoke in the wheel that they want to retain their shares. The problem is that Joel and Abraham can't afford the redevelopment of the stadium, and they can't afford the redevelopment of the training ground. So is it unlikely that they? Is it likely that they sell? I'm not sure, but what I think we shouldn't discount is them retaining their shares, maybe the other siblings and cousins and everybody involved selling up their shares and attracting a minority investment who then put money into the club in terms of where funding is needed for the stadium and particularly the training ground. So I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility that Joel and Abraham stay on, but it's all could be just part of the negotiating tactic to get a much higher bid out of Qatar or Sir Jim.
I saw
what-
rumors though that they have managed to get additional financing that would help them fund things like the training grounds and
So
stuff.
they have an offer on the table. I forget the name of the investment fund. It's the guys who funded AC Milan, but it's dangerous people to get into bed with. They will run return on investment. So it's not going to be the idea behind that minority investment won't be sporting achievement. It will really be a monetary gain type of thing. So
Yeah.
so if we get funded by that type of investment fund, it's going to put fans back to where we've been, and that's wanting a sporting project to be top priority at the club, which it hasn't been for a very long time.
Yeah. Kent, obviously you and I support Arsenal. How scared are you of Manchester United right now?
I'm happy that we've already played them twice, and I think United will definitely challenge. I don't know if they will win, but I think they will. That gap could close, dependent on how City and Arsenal perform. I thought once we had beaten United that this will not be a conversation we'd have, but they don't seem to just disappear. They're always there in the rearview mirror. But I was just saying, it's the first time since Fergie where I could see United are actually where they're causing rival fans just some questions. When Ole was doing well, for some reason, everyone would think, okay, they're doing well, but I would not be scared. I would think it wouldn't last. They would have a run, and then there would be this massive capitulation. So I think with Ten Hag within 6 months, you can just see what he's done already. He's changed the culture within the club. He's managed the team so well with the big personalities, and it just seems like everyone's now following in the same direction. And I can see it's similar to what Arteta has done at Arsenal. He's also had to do the same, make the same big decisions. I just think United were very fortunate where they had a good squad, but the squad was just underperforming unbelievably. And Ten Hag's managed to get players like Casemiro, who isn't insane. I think he's one of the best players right now in the league. Varane, all these players that United have bought over the years, and people would laugh at them thinking they're doing so bad at United. They're performing at where they should be, and it's easy to say yes, but it should be expected. But no managers has done this at United since Fergie. They've had good players, but just unable to get the squad firing. So you have to give credit.
The one that's indicative of that is you look at the fullbacks. You look at Dalot, Wan-Bissaka, and Shaw, and you'd be hard pressed to find better fullbacks in the league or in terms of form. But literally 8 months ago, you ask any United fan, and they would have been happy to see those three players out the door.
Even right now, Rashford was for almost. I think he could have been for sale.
He was up for sale to be sold to Tottenham.
So he's given everyone a bit of a renaissance. Like Wan-Bissaka's defending yesterday, he handled ASM so well. He's an insane defender, and it's just his.
But he's working. The attacking is so much better now. It's been worked on, and I think that when the club bought him, I know the conclusion was that he's a brilliant defender, and they felt that they could work on his attacking, and no one ever worked on it, and he regressed. He regressed in terms of his attacking and his defending ability, and now you've gotten someone who's getting the best out of him as a defender. He's the best one-on-one defender in the league. I don't see a better one-on-one defender in the Premier League. But
because literally a few months ago, you were like, "This man is the worst I've ever seen in my life. He must leave."
No, I said he's the worst right back. But the conclusion has always been that he's a good defender, but he wasn't a good player. He could defend. He just couldn't do much else.
In what his defense, he did say in attack, the AWB isn't great. But how are you feeling today? They've won, obviously. Remember last season, there was the coaches' sweepstakes. There was a game there. Whoever lost would get Antonio Conte, or supposedly, and Spurs decided to let Ronaldo just go all over them, and they got Antonio Conte. Obviously, they'll say patience is a virtue and everything else, but Erik ten Hag was on your list of managers as well for Spurs. Does this how do you characterize this with all the things that's happened at Spurs this past season?
Didn't wait before you start? Didn't Spurs turn Ten Hag down? Like not the other way around. Spurs didn't want Ten Hag because they didn't think he was charismatic enough. Was what the papers.
No, I think that's some United bias tweets that you're
Rumors.
reading. I think the case was always like we wanted Ten Hag, but then he was going to turn us down, and he wasn't 100% keen. And I mean, I think there were a lot of factors going over that summer transfer coaching ability. I mean, I think we approached everyone, so I don't think it was a case of us turning him down. But you know what? I think for a lot of people that say, Spurs messed up not getting Ten Hag, we tried, man didn't want to, and I still don't regret getting Antonio Conte. I think what Ten Hag is doing, I think we've all touched on it, it's a really great job, considering especially that those first two games versus Brighton and Brentford, we were all sitting here laughing, saying, yes, United again, they're going to mid-table at best, and they're getting trampled. So I think the signings that they've done is magnificent. Also, the one thing that I am sort of hesitant about, though, is, and I think we mentioned it with a lot of the teams, they're not that many injuries away from kind of sliding as well. I think if Casemiro starts dipping, or if Casemiro has to go away for an extended period of time, or someone like Rashford has to go away for an extended period of time, I would be worried as a United fan. Casemiro covers a lot of what they do, and I think, it's been mentioned a lot where they signed Casemiro to be that DM, but the way he's also getting into the box and scoring goals, popping up here and there where they need him, is also a big contribution to their successes so far. So losing the likes of a Casemiro or a Rashford who just can't stop scoring at the moment, I would be worried as a United fan. But as long as that's sort of there, I would also be excited, happy. The club, Spurs are 4 points off them now. Call it 7 because they've got the game in hand. I don't think we're going to catch them. So I think that top 3 is pretty cemented. Just depends on how, sort of what order they're going to finish in. So 3-horse race to the end of the season, and then kind of see again playing who's going to finish 4th. So props to United. I didn't want Newcastle to win anyway, because then it would have been like, oh, even Newcastle's won a trophy. So I was kind of supporting United anyway. So yeah.
Okay. Cool. Let's move on to the next topic of the day. A team that's seriously underperforming. They try to do this whole project of youngsters. There's some really talented youngsters, but it's just not working. And so the question we have is obviously Graham Potter, the boy who survived. There are rumors today that he is getting fired, and Mauricio Pochettino's like on some sort of a plane or whatever list to hurt Dean even more.
That'll be the worst coach swap ever. If we have Conte and they get Poch, I'll be disastrous.
But let me ask you, Dean, Maurizio aside, Graham Potter, last 11 games, only won 1, lots of draws, lots of losses. Is it fair for Chelsea to fire him now? Even though he hasn't had a summer. He's had a winter window, but he hasn't had a summer window.
That's not an excuse. He had a better summer window or winter window that I think any club would have had in the summer.
Yeah.
I
think it's a lot. I haven't watched a lot of Chelsea games, I'll be honest with you, other than the one when we played them. So I didn't really care too much to watch the games. But then looking at the way they played against Spurs, that normal Chelsea intensity, that Chelsea attack, that ability that they could turn you over, it's just not there. It's clear as day. It's gone. And it's not a case of you can say the players aren't there now. It's 100% that they're not gelling. Something's not clicking. And you have to point fingers at Potter. And you can, in his post-match interview yesterday, he says, he also says stupid things. He says like, oh, the game was even. The game wasn't even. Like it 100% wasn't. So you're also getting on the wrong side of fans. Like if you're losing and you keep losing, or you string around bad form, like admit it. Say that, it's not good enough. Say that you're going to come back. Don't say, oh, it was an even game and actually things aren't that bad. Like it's terrible. So as Chelsea fans, they are used to, as soon as things go bad, you're out the door and refresh. Now things are going bad and they're not getting the refresh. Todd Bowley is just sitting and playing the long game with Potter. It's not something Chelsea fans are used to. So they're in a rock and a hard place at the moment. So I think there's a lot that probably does need to change. They've obviously got the tools at their disposal to be able to do it. And the problem with us is, we all sat here when Chelsea made that Potter signing and we were all like, well, he's a good coach. Look at what he's done with Brighton. He's probably a man for the future and he can do it. And now no one would want him near your club at the moment. So it just shows you how quickly fortunes can kind of turn in this league. And if Conte had to leave, I don't want Potter to come near Spurs. And 6 months ago, 8 months ago, I would have said, yeah, come. So
in the summer, if he does get fired, I wouldn't be truly surprised if Graham Potter arrived at the toilet bowl and decided to.
It is very reminiscent of the Moyes years at Man United. It's seemingly a manager who's out of his depth because he's saying weird things, which Moyes did too. I mean, Moyes inherited the champions of England and then said they should aspire to be City. And that's the type of saying that can rub fans up really badly. So you don't say that type of thing. So Potter's saying the same sort of slogans and the same type of silly sayings that Moyes had, but he's not doing anything weird. Moyes never did anything weird. He didn't play players out of position. He didn't pick players that shouldn't be picked, and he didn't not pick players who didn't deserve to be there. That type of thing. He just was out of his depth, and he couldn't seem to motivate the players to play for him. And it's just seemingly very reminiscent of the Moyes years at Man United. And like sticking it out helps nobody. It doesn't help the club because making a change would bring in someone better and the club would be for it. And it doesn't help the manager. It destroys his reputation week by week by week. David Moyes ended up at Real Sociedad and Sunderland trying to rebuild his reputation, and you fear that Graham Potter is going to be down the same garden path here. It's just good for nobody in the situation. It just reminds me so much of that time at Man United.
Kent, Todd Bowley probably doesn't want to fire him, but as Wahid said, you kind of need to cut the cord. There's a coach in there in Graham Potter. They are not playing that Brighton style of football. But how much of this blame sits at Todd Bowley's feet at the end of this?
I think, just to echo what Dean and Wade said, he was also blaming Tuchel. He was saying stuff like...
Oh, okay. Kent's gone. He'll be back.
That internet in London's tough.
Load shedding.
Kent, you
sorry.
back?
I was saying that apparently that they said that Tuchel had a really bad preseason under Tuchel. They said he also compared himself to Arteta, saying, we're in a similar position as Arsenal for 2 years. He was almost sacked, but I don't have that faith. But I think what has happened there is that they've rebuilt too quickly. You can't have a squad as big as theirs, have so many personalities. You've seen Mudryk, who was bought for 100 million, who's benching now. You've seen you just don't know who their best starting 11 is. He's got too much choice. There's no spine in that team that they can almost build around. They've just done everything too quickly, and there wasn't enough sales in January as well, I feel. So I feel for Potter in the sense that I don't even think Potter had a say in the transfers. I think Bowley just went flat out and said, I'm giving you everything you need right now. I'm locking these people up for 8 years. Whatever happens. If this Chelsea team wants to make Champions League, these players have to earn it for the next 4 to 5 years. Otherwise, they're not playing Champions League. So I do think their defense looks fine. Their defense doesn't look horrific, but I think they just have no goals in them. I think Havertz has been an absolute failure at the top. There's no killer instinct in front of goal. I don't think that they even really fire shots off. So maybe they feel that with Nkunku coming, that could help some
It's
things,
more
but
the same. He's not a striker. It's more
yeah,
of the
no,
same.
he's not an out and out striker.
But they
But
have
I think
Aubameyang
Chelsea
at least
fans,
as a stopgap, but he's not playing.
when I spoke to Chelsea fans after this window, they were very they were saying no team has it this much fun at 10th place, and they were very coy about it. But I think they still said that they're willing to give Potter grace for the rest of the season. That if they don't make Champions League, it's fine. If they don't make Europe, it's fine. They would have wanted Europe, but I think if they didn't get Europe, they would have said that there just would have been more pressure on Potter next season then. Now, if you ask the same question, I think it's a bit reactionary that they haven't won a game, I think, since the window closed. To say, okay, well, now he doesn't get the grace. No, now we need to sack him. So I just think it's a place where Chelsea fans have never been. They've always had Abramovich who would have sacked Potter probably the first game after the window. So if I was
seen that
Chelsea,
before.
I would wait it out, and I would just take this season as a way to just experiment. I don't think hopefully they can get to 40 points, but I think that Potter deserves a preseason and hopefully some sales, so you can just know who his starting 11 is. But he's behaving. The pressure's getting to him. You can see it in his press conferences, and you can see it in his team selections.
Look, if they don't get to 40 points, they get relegated.
Well,
the relegation line is going to be around there.
They're only 10 ahead of Everton, just to put it in perspective.
They're closer to relegation than top four.
Everton's one of the most dog shit sides I've ever seen in my life.
Well, in South Africa, number 2 is closer to number 16 than they are to number 1. So make of that what you will. Yes. My only issue is that I think Todd Bowley's looking for a coach. He's not looking for a manager. Todd Bowley's every summer he's gonna get you the best players in the market, and you're gonna have to coach your life out of the side, regardless of whatever system or whatever you want to play, which is very hard right now because every coach comes with some sort of a system. And I honestly do think that if at least Graham Potter was speaking to Todd Bowley or whoever was making the transfers to get the players that he needs, because to a certain extent, they're not playing that quick Brighton football. They don't have the players for that. They don't have the players the midfield to kind of move the ball through the lines quickly, a hard tackling midfielder. I like Enzo. I think Enzo might just become a bust just because of the fact that everyone else around him just doesn't know
They're already
what's going
calling
on.
him Nzonzi. I've seen that.
Here's the thing. Here's the question I have. Does it make sense to have a coach like Potter then? Because what you really need is a coach like Mourinho or Zidane or Ancelotti who can come in and just use whatever's there, motivate the players, just get the best. Those type of managers don't have a set system. They sort of like take what's there and get them playing well. Zidane did that at Real Madrid. I don't think Zidane is the best tactician in the world, anything like that. He just put a bunch of really good players together and got them playing. So Zidane could be like the firefighter that Chelsea need, or Ancelotti, who's not going to leave Real Madrid, but that's the type of manager they need. They don't need a project manager. Like a project manager is very specific about the types of players he wants, and he wants the players to fit the role and all sorts. And Graham Potter's a project manager. He's in the bracket of Arteta and Erik ten Hag. You need to back him with what he wants, not just give him all sorts of tools. So this is sort of like Ed Woodward. Todd Bowley is doing an Ed Woodward, and he needs to get the right manager for that, for what he's trying to do.
Yes, which is why I think if I was Mourinho's agent, if I was Zidane's agent, I'd be phoning Chelsea and saying, you just need someone who's going to coach these guys. You can get whoever you want because you know that every summer you're going to get the best player in the market. Whoever that best player is, depending on whether Arsenal's going after him.
That's exactly what Mourinho wants. So a third stint at Chelsea just seems so
the re-return
for everybody.
the re-return, going back to X 3 times over, whatever it is. But yeah, is he getting fired this week? Quick fire, Wahid. Where are you on that?
Yes.
Dean?
I don't think so.
No. Kent?
I honestly think Potter makes the end of the season, no matter what happens.
I think he's getting fired today. We're recording this on Monday. Sometime this week, he's getting fired.
I don't see him lasting the week.
And I do think Zidane comes in. I think if I'm Zidane, I'm like, would that, like, you can make that work, even with Aubameyang leading the line, which is someone's Chelsea seemingly.
Aubameyang looked like he was held hostage before coming on. I've never seen someone.
Because Graham Potter doesn't play with guys like Aubameyang. He plays with guys like Kaoru Matoma, who is going to leave Brighton for Chelsea in the summer to add another wing.
When Graham Potter is back at Brighton.
Exactly. No, but Roberto De Zerbi's doing a great job.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
But he's not going to Spurs. Sorry,
Leeds. Maybe Leeds. Southampton. One of those.
Leeds have Javi Gracia, but yeah. But look, if I'm in Southampton, I'd take Graham Potter anytime. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to a fun one, probably a quick one, because this is Erling Haaland. Like, he's on like a whole lot of goals, like 27 goals already. He's had the best goal scoring season of a City striker, of any City striker in the Premier League already. And we've got like 18 games to go. It's ridiculous. But are they getting the best out of him? And I'm going to go with Wahid because Manchester United beat them both. And most of the times, well, not. Did you beat them twice? Or was it once? But there was that.
No, they beat us in the start of the season. Remember, they absolutely smacked us.
Yeah.
And then we beat them. We beat them in the last
game.
Yeah.
But in the game that you beat them, Erling Haaland did not get many touches in the box. And even now, even over the weekend, even though he did score, it was largely off of ricochets and everything else. And they're no longer doing that whole direct, let's get the ball into Haaland. What do you make of that? Are they getting the best out of him? Do they need to change their style and be like more Todd Bowley-esque on some, you have the world's best striker, just go straight at, just get him the ball?
So in 2012, when we signed Van Persie, a bunch of goals to start with, and then the goals dried up for like a 2-month period. And apparently Sir Alex Ferguson just sat the team down and showed them videos, and he said, look at all these runs, and you guys are wasting him. You guys are just not getting to the ball, just aren't getting the ball to Van Persie quickly enough. And he just showed them videos of all the runs this guy was making and all the wasted opportunities they had at getting the ball into him. And I feel like if someone did that at City and just said, look at all the runs this guy makes, he's in the right position, just get the ball to him, he'll do the rest. That's it. We can overcomplicate football as much as you want, but there is a place in the game for someone who can put the ball in the net as easily as Haaland can. And all you have to do is get him the ball to do that. He's the best striker in the world. So it's just not complicated, and they just don't get the ball to him quickly enough. They just try too much intricate shit around the box when there's a simple ball to Haaland. It's like a cheat code. Just use it.
Yes. And on top of that, he overpowers defenders. But Dean, I remember Mourinho did the same thing. He sat Spurs players down and said, get the ball to Harry Kane and Son. And some of the Spurs players were like, who the hell do you think you are? We also can play football. And yeah, some of them found themselves in Roma, or wanted to go to Roma and then didn't. But is it that simple? Is it just get the ball to Erling Haaland and everything's going to be fine?
Yeah, I actually saw Thierry Henry and basically do a bit of an analysis. I think it was post the Champions League game with RB Leipzig, and he touched on a lot of interesting points with Haaland, saying, in his Dortmund days, they were very much a counter-attacking side as well, and the guy makes the runs, and they're just not finding him when they need to. So there were a lot of times, even against Spurs, where he's giving the ball, making the run, and they're not looking for him. They're not looking for him, and he's getting frustrated with that. But then on the other hand, they were also asking the question, does Haaland need to fit City, or does City need to fit Haaland? And I think that is the question where there's sort of a lot of bumping of heads at the moment. Does City need to say, well, we've got a world-class striker now, we need to start playing to those trends, or does Haaland need to adapt his game to what City are doing? And with a Pep system, we've seen it be very much a case of players come in, have to adapt to him, and then they get the best. So it's going to be interesting. There were a lot of points in the video that I watched as well of Haaland making runs towards like back post and not necessarily wanting to take on players at the moment, kind of go straight through them. So there's also a bit of hesitation there. So I think it's a lot of confusion at the moment in that City front line of where actually to go, what to do. And it's probably a bit natural for a brand new player like of his quality coming into a position that they don't normally play for, but they have got a lot out of him. And I think if look, let's not lie about it. There is probably someone showing a video of Haaland making runs and then not finding him. It is City. So it is probably happening. It will probably click. And I have no doubt that it will click.
Kent, I think against Arsenal, we kind of saw Erling Haaland play a little bit of bully ball against Arsenal, and it kind of worked. And in that game, you kind of felt that they were trying to find him. But it was uncharacteristic to what Pep does, because Pep's players control the game and do all of these things. But against Arsenal, you kind of saw what he just talking about in terms of just find the dude. His physicality is unmatched as well. So can City play that game where they actually just try and look for him all the time, even against like the Southamptons of the world, where you can beat them with possession? Or is it just a question of Pep he has too much at his disposal and he, overcomplicates things, as Wahid said?
I think against Arsenal dominated possession for most of the first half and from the second half until the 70th minute, and it was easy to find Haaland because City pressed unbelievably well, and Arsenal were a bit susceptible to that press. And as soon as they got the ball, Haaland would already be with his back against Gabriel, and it would be like you say, a bully. He had the most touches in the box that game. I think he had 6 touches in the box.
Yes,
and I think that gameplay just worked for Haaland and City beautifully. Arsenal weren't clinical with their possession, but that's anomaly. I think City will always have the most possession, and then Haaland can't run behind defenders, and he can't really use his physicality one-on-one. Most times, Haaland's going to have at least 3 or 4 players in front of him, or who are going to come to him as soon as he gets the ball. So I agree with what Dean said. I think Haaland isn't playing to the strengths of the players around him. I think he's expecting to get service, but he's not looking at the type of players that are giving him service and playing to their strengths. Whatever Bernardo Silva does well, whatever Grealish does well. I think City have also changed their game plan significantly. They were very malleable up front, but now they attack through their wingers now. Yes, you can just definitely see City they're just still trying to find their feet in what their new brand is. They're way more physical and not as slick and fast. They used to have very fast wingers, and now they're playing mostly with Mahrez and Grealish, who aren't that fast. So I think City are using Haaland effectively. You can't say he's not, because he's scored 26 goals a season. I just think he also needs to be adaptable to play to the players around him's strength instead of just trying to run behind a defender. But I don't know how well he interlinks, and I don't know how well he would be at assisting others. But it's still just a debate to have whether he should be trying to assist and trying to look for other players, or I just think he should be looking for passes that suits Kevin De Bruyne. He's that kind of delivery, which is like maybe a nice cross or a running behind with Silva or 1-2, stuff like that. He just seems like a proper poacher at the moment, and City's not going to always have the counter attack. They're going to probably play against lots of low blocks, which I think Haaland struggles with.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the key issues. But it's going to be weird if City don't win the league for them to have one of the best ever goal scoring seasons we've ever seen in the Premier League, and they don't come out with a trophy. And largely it's because at times, even though they probably would, they're their number one in goal difference, at times they just can't get this man effective enough. And he's no Harry Kane, so he's not going to come back and fetch the ball and everything else. But sometimes, guys just need to put the ego aside, look up first, and try find the guy. and see where he is. And if he's not in a great position, obviously don't pass to him. But if he is, rip it in. But I'm not going to be giving City tactics. I'll let Pep over confuse himself, because I've got a game in April that I'm so worried about, and why he's hoping that game probably brings him back into 3 points, and that's going to be even worse. But yeah, the drama continues. The drama continues.
Arsenal play their game in hand this Wednesday. So
yes, on Wednesday against Everton.
There won't be any more of this game in hand. I think it'll be a better reflection of what's actually happening. Because if we lose or if we draw to Everton, I think that just shows what the difference is between City and Arsenal. Not this like imaginary 3 points, or will they get those 3 points? So it'll be more. We'll see how the clubs and adapt to the pressures now of the last 13 or 14 games.
Yeah, good thing is that it's at the Emirates.
Yeah.
So okay, because
we got touched up by Daesh's team at Goodison Park.
they're gonna be still low blocking it for days. But anyway,
yeah, but they lost to Villa, so I have some hope.
Yeah, transitive properties. Just because they beat Villa, and we beat Villa, maybe we can get through.
Yeah.
But final topic of the show, we will have to finish with the top 4. And Dean, are you guys going to hold on to that spot, or are Fulham, Newcastle, and Liverpool? I'll add Brighton and Brentford in there because they are about 10 points behind you. But yeah, it's okay. Can they pip you to this top 4?
As long as Conte stays in Italy, I don't think so. I think Stellini's doing a great job. But no, I mean, Conte, he's been said that he's basically talking to Conte like 3-4 times a day. So it's very much Conte still running the team. But I think Spurs
are in a feel that players are reacting better to this guy using Conte's tactics than Conte himself.
No, I mean, I think it's still Conte's. It's still Conte's team. It's still Conte's top. I think it's just a case of a lot of players have come out and said that they've sort of come together a lot more because Conte's not there and they're feeling stronger, whatever nonsense you want to talk about. But I think Spurs things are clicking a little bit better. I think dropping Son is a big factor. I've wanted to drop Son for a while. He's just not in form. Richarlison is not scoring, but he's being irritating as per usual, and that's kind of just what you need. Emerson Royale is playing really, really well. It's like we just needed to sign a replacement, and then the guy figured out how to play again. So Spurs are in a fairly decent spot. We've also got on a fairly decent run as well. So if Spurs want to kick on, they need to do it now and really cement their position in top 4, especially with Newcastle. They've got, I think they play City next as well, so they could also fall behind over there. So it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. But I think Spurs on the whole, sort of, if you have a look at those teams around them, probably deserve top 4. I know that's not something that normally gets you top 4. But I do think we're in a fairly good spot. And as long as guys can stay fit, I think obviously losing Bentancur is a massive issue. But Skip has stepped up. Saw is looking like a really good player for the future, so he's playing really well. So it's good to see, and I'm not that scared when Spurs play anymore. So that's always my telltale sign of if Spurs are playing well or not. If I can actually watch the game without wanting to rip my hair off.
Okay, Kent, they're not making it in, right? Newcastle's beating Man City this weekend, and then they're going to go on a run because they were humiliated on Sunday by Manchester United, right?
No, I have to think with my head, not my heart. And I think Newcastle seems to be dropping that defense that they had. That was only I think they conceded 11 goals after 23 or 4 games.
Yes,
they look very leaky now. I know Pope's been out, and I think they probably still Dubravka will come in next game against City probably, but. Newcastle are a bit shaken, and I don't know how long it'll take before they can get their form back. The only other team I was thinking who would now push on is Liverpool. Liverpool they'll win a massive game and then the next game they will show that what
they'll beat us this weekend, and then they'll lose their next one.
They're just so inconsistent, and it's so unlike them. They thought they were back, and then they got touched up at home by 5 goals without reply, and then they drew to Palace under the lights. So it's I've given up a bit of hope with Liverpool, thinking that they would go on a bit of a run. They have their injuries back now. I think Jota's back. I think Diaz is almost back, but I think it's 8-9 points, but they do have 2 games in hand that they have to catch Spurs. I think Spurs just need to use this run now and distance that gap. Like Dean said, Bentancur I thought was a massive loss, but I think Spurs should be winning these smaller games, and we'll see how they do, and they can build up a bit of momentum. But they also haven't been that consistent. They can also easily just draw their next game to like Bournemouth or something. You just never know. They lost to Leicester after their impressive performance the week before. So it's another team that I think them and Liverpool just depends on the consistency. That'll be the team finishing top 4.
Wahid, it's Spurs. They're always Spursy. They're not going to make it, right? Last game of the season, they're going to come 5th, and they're going to be happy that they made Europa, right?
I must be honest now. I do think they'll come top 4, just simply because I don't think the chasing back is that good. I think there's quite like in terms of quality, and I think that over 38 games, quality does come to that does make a difference. And I just don't see any of those other teams pipping them. The only one, as Ken said, would have been Liverpool, but as I said, they will beat us this weekend, and then they will lose to a relegation fodder team like a week later. Liverpool are like schizophrenic at the moment, and you just don't know what you're going to get. So but I just don't see anybody taking the 4th from Spurs at this point. Newcastle were good to a certain degree, but they just don't have the know-how, the street smart to punch at that level for an extended period of time.
Yeah, and they'll get there.
Sorry, you tried with your agenda, Soz.
I have to, I have to do something. But yeah, because it's weird, because all you guys are just telling me is that the Premier League is going to be controlled by North London and Manchester, and that's what it is, and screw everyone else, which is fine by me. I'm okay with that. But yeah, look, I think then that's the problem with Newcastle, right? I think that Carabao Cup loss is probably going to start a run of losses up until they get to a point where Eddie Howe gets them back. But the Newcastle fans are really happy with where they are right now, and I think they'll just be happy just to make Europe.
I think Champions League would be the worst thing to happen to Newcastle next season as well. I think it would be a step way too far, way too quickly, and I think they would just do a little bit more damage.
You're just worried they're going to use a checkbook and they're going to start using Chelsea tactics to start signing players. But yeah, and I think, well, look, I agree with you on that. But they've been playing really great football. It's just I need them to beat City this weekend. Wahid needs them to beat City this weekend.
I need City to smash it. Absolutely smash it.
Yeah, and there's no one else. I think Liverpool's too far down. Chelsea's way down. And they're the ones, as Wahid says, who've been here before, who've done it multiple times. And the biggest thing that hurts me the most is Harry Kane is scoring goals. And yeah,
inevitable.
That's
unless it's against City.
Yes.
Yeah.
But next season, Harry Kane is wearing Manchester red, which is going to be great, and we're going to be walking on. We're fine. If not, it'll be Chelsea blue. That's what it is.
Going to record this. Well, it is recorded.
Where do you think Harry Kane will play football next season?
Spurs.
I've spoken to some people who are like close to the club, and they think that Kane will sign on
for another.
They just think it's too late. He should have left already. He's missed that opportunity, and I think he realizes that. I think he will not get this like love and adoration anywhere else for the rest of his career.
It's not about love and adoration. It's about trophies.
I know. Like,
ask Van Persie. Van Persie could have stayed on for love and adoration.
after
we'll get it. Don't worry.
47 days at United, and then you have someone like Kane who has over 200 goals and still nothing. I think he stays on. I just definitely know he would not go to a rival. He wouldn't go to United. It would be unbelievable. It will be more shocking. It will be as shocking as Van Persie to United, or more so.
Sometimes you just listen to the little boy inside you who screams for United.
Look, if he goes to Manchester United,
he goes to Madrid or he goes to Barcelona.
Sorry. You might not have understood that. Did you get that? Once upon a time, Van Persie's press conference, I just want to explain it, said that he just had to listen to the little boy inside him who was screaming for Man United, and then went and won the league with us.
Oh, he's not going to United, but fair.
Well, he could win the league at Chelsea.
No, I agree with Keynes. He's not going to. I don't think he plays for another Premier League team.
No, he won't.
Okay. I think Bayern might be the one that they need someone like him, and if he was to leave, I think there's a hole over there which he could fall. And
does the Bundesliga count?
You go win an uncontested league a couple of times and stat bad a bit.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Harry Kane is staying at Spurs or going to go play in the true Farmers League, the Bundesliga. But outside of that, thanks, gents, for joining. Enjoy this week. Arsenal obviously cover their game in hand, so please do not lose to Sean Dyche. It'll hurt even more at the end of the season, and Wahid could end up winning the Premier League because Manchester City are stuttering along and they're playing Champions League. They're probably going to lose on the weekend because that's who they are. And yeah, if Manchester United win from here, I'd be so angry. But anyway, goodbye, good night, and le sale kakahiso.